Greetings again, friends. The last time that I did the essential video, there were comments made about how I should probably go back and read or go over the truth in the last two blogs I've written. So today I'm going to go over this blog, The Perfect Test. Now, if you want to reference this, you can go to my website, lessonstolearn.com. This was actually posted on 3/31, so right at the end of March of this year. As April started, right before that, I had 3/31/20 is when this was posted. So I'm just going to read through this to kind of get a base for talking about this a little bit more. I've thought about this some since I wrote this, and it's just so true as I wrote this toward the beginning of this, but yet it has been proven true as things have gone forward in time related to this coronavirus. So this is the perfect test. Do you remember taking tests in school? Maybe you're still in school and have tests you have to take, at least online right now. Now, at this time, the schools weren't even certain, well, most had been certain that they were going to close, or at least for the rest of the semester, only do things online. Now, some colleges have said they're closing for this fall, and others are saying they're going to do limited stuff, and so there's still a lot of uncertainty there. And of course, by now, at this time where you're seeing this video, many people have had a graduation already, at least an online graduation. My son Matthew had just had his graduation ceremony, and they did it online for the first time, posted it on YouTube, and it has allowed other people to see it, other relatives in other places and stuff to see it. And so, graduations have been done virtually, and a lot of things have, but just listen as I go through this and talking about the perfect test. Now, do you dread tests? Do you study for them? Do you benefit from them? Do they not test your knowledge and even your ability to think and reason about facts and even greater things in life? Testing is important. Testing is necessary. Really, all of life is about testing. As I've noted many times before, testing is important, and as I've noted many times before, all of life is about learning. And learning is how we change and grow. Life teaches us many lessons, if we let it. It's actually the creator of life who is teaching us through the reality that he has created and his personal involvement with each of us. And he is the master teacher. So how does he test us? How does he want us to learn? I don't think I'll be able to fully address those questions, but I do want to address the greatest and most far-reaching test that modern mankind has more knowledgeably faced together. I am talking about the perfect test. Now, the perfect test here, as I'm discussing, is really what this virus has proven to be. And as you think through this with me, and you may already have realized yourself, that this is testing whether we have faith or fear. It's testing why we do what we do. It's testing how governments work. It's testing what's necessary, what's essential. It's testing what businesses do, how they operate. I mean, so many things are being tested. How education's being done, the importance of sports, the importance of games and families, and so many things have been tested by this. So, let's go forward in how I had approached this on the 31st of March. This coronavirus is certainly schooling our country, and really all of mankind throughout the whole earth, and bringing us to the ultimate place of personal testing. Think about it. Especially think about it from the beginning, when there was little to no hope of recovery if it took hold in you. If you are really seeing how deadly and serious this is in those it impacts, then did you pass this perfect test? How did you do at that first moment you realized it then? How are you doing now with a greater spread and more deaths and many increasing restrictions impacting each of our lives? I mean, we just recently surpassed the 100,000 death mark in this country of the United States. Now, granted, some of those could be questioned because some people are considering coronavirus deaths to be if you were in a car accident and had the coronavirus, or if you already had an illness and were in ICU and somehow contracted the coronavirus and you die of some other issue, they say it's the coronavirus. So the numbers could be off, they could be exaggerated, as some have even admitted, but the number officially is said now to be over 100,000, so it's affected a lot of people. What a test! And it isn't just for a moment. It continues. America has been on top of responding to this as good or better than many other places in the world. And that actually accounts for all the high numbers of people with it in this country because of the testing. The 15-day plan to slow the spread has tested us, and that was true back in March, and it expanded to another 30 days, and etc. For we are not as accustomed to such limited activity in this day and age with the freedom that we normally have in this country. Now we are tested even further and looking at another 30 days of limitations to try to hold down the number of deaths that today were projected to be as high as 100 to 200,000 people, but hopefully far less. And those numbers have gone back and forth. Those models have been all over the place. They were saying that it could have been higher. As I said here, if authorities had done nothing but let this ride out, it is said that the peak would have been higher and likely over sooner, but deaths would have been in the millions, as high as 2.2 or 2.4 million. So they've had widely numbers varying, that went down to 65,000 and after stuff had started to kind of open up, but you saw people were still dying from it, even despite medicines that have helped people with it too, and so it's up over 100,000 now. Well, you may still be skeptical, but if the virus does hit near you or takes one of your friends or family members, you will be tested there too. This perfect test continues for now, and it may for some time. People are saying that we can't go back to normal until there's a vaccine, and then others are saying, well, how effective will the vaccine be, and will it be like other things that you can still get sick? I mean, will it be like a flu shot that you get, and where you can still get the flu possibly, but not be as likely? I mean, there's lots of questions about this, so my goodness, some people are saying this could go on and on and on forever, for a year or two or more. I mean, it's just crazy as you think about it, but the perfect test continues for now. Now, just why is this such a perfect test for the world and for you? Well, all the facts are not known. As noted in my last blog, it is novel or new, so the effects are uncertain. We have had to learn what it is, how it spreads, who is vulnerable, where it came from, when it is most dangerous, why it does what it does, how can you treat symptoms, etc. This highly contagious virus humbles us all. True science will help us find the answers, but science can't just guess here, and as it does with origins or unrecorded history. Science still doesn't know all the answers here because science is about observing and testing until you can prove something. We do know that this virus primarily attacks the weak, but it can also attack the strong and healthy. A weak immunity leads to it filling the lungs with fluid, and a very strong immunity can lead to the body attacking the lungs. The elderly are at the greatest risk, then the sick, but even healthy and young people can be hurt or killed by this novel virus. This coronavirus is a perfect test because it forces you, unless you just deny it, to at least consider that you could catch it and get very sick and even die. What really happens after death? What if we end up suffering? Will we get this virus and infect others around us, making them suffer or even die? Wow, what a perfect test for me, for you, for the church, and for the world. Now, I said in the end of this, why is God allowing this and letting these concerns continue? He tests each of us, Psalm 11:4 says. He tests our minds and our hearts. Jeremiah 11:20, a good reference. Also, Jeremiah 17:10. You could even reference Proverbs 17:3, as I said here. When the people of Israel became fearful after seeing the natural effects of his power on the mountain when God had written out the 10 Commandments, Moses exhorted them, "Do not only fear, for God has come to test you, and that his fear be before you, so that you may not sin." Exodus 20:20. Now, how about that for 2020 vision in 2020? Exodus 20:20. That ought to be a theme verse for this year. Exodus 20:20. God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before you, so that you may not sin. Wow, go back and look at some of my previous videos that I've had, even the one about sin, the problem. He wants us to not live by our fears, but by fear and faith toward him. He wants you to trust that he can take care of you no matter what he allows to happen, and that he will keep you safe eternally. He wants you to trust the risen Jesus Christ, who died to pay the penalty that justice required for your sin, your pride and lack of faith, etc. Will this perfect test bring you to trust? Will it turn you inward to attempt to satisfy yourself with media and pleasures? Or will faith allow you to trust him so you can be confident and encourage and serve others and help those who are weak? I trust him and test all things. And you should look at 1 Thessalonians 5:21, which exhorts us to test all things. I do have the personal advantage with this perfect test of the coronavirus, since I have already been tested to my core. And my book details that. And you should look at that book and see what I've learned from my experience and the incredible, almost incredulous story of tragedy that occurred to me in this country. And I've written several blogs, a couple hundred blogs related to my experience as I was writing throughout this time as I learned. And that's why I have Lessons to Learn Ministries, because of how this has just caused me to learn things and grow and try to help other people learn too. I was tested to the core, and my book details that in that story of what had happened to me and shouldn't have. And I have learned to walk by faith and not by sight or emotion, which is what fear is. I have learned to trust God and his word no matter what, which is the theme of my book. And that's the last thing I'd said to my 5 children before they were whisked away. Will you trust him? Will you walk by faith as I have learned to? Will his church humble itself and pray to help heal and end this coronavirus threat? And much prayer has gone forward, and it continues for now, but the church still needs to wake up and be revived, as I've also addressed. Will you, my friend, pass this perfect test? Now, this test has been perfect, and as I say, it has challenged each of us in ways we've never expected. So, friend, think with me on this, learn with me through this, and share this video with other people. Like it, subscribe to this channel, and just hit that notification bell so you'll be reminded when I post another one. And I just thank you for the time I've had with you and for the opportunity to share more about the perfect test.